Welcome to Let's Get Into It. I am your host, Sherelle Higgins. Let's Get Into It is a safe space to have real conversations that are meant to uplift, encourage, and let you know you are not the only one dealing with life. Each episode of Let's Get Into It is designed to provide illuminating and thought-provoking information on a variety of topics. In fact, no topic is off limit. If you would like to see a topic discussed, please feel free to make a recommendation. My special guest and I will have a great time discussing topics that the mainstream media wouldn't dare discuss. We will bring these conversations to you with an open mind, respectfully, from different perspectives, and most importantly, with love. Thank you for joining me and my special guest. Now, let's get into it. Hello. I am Sherelle Higgins. I am the host of Let's Get Into It, and this is Let's Get Into It real quick. I wanted to come and just give you all some additional information. An email came out of OPM with some updated Q&As, and those updated Q&As struck a lot of spark in me because I think when you read it on the surface, it looks as if they are extending the time period. And so I wanted to go through the Q&As and just give you some food for thought. I want you to really consider everything that I've been sharing before you make a decision. I know the deadline is this week, Thursday, and I don't want you to rush into making a decision that you will later regret. So the first question was, will I get paid if the government shuts down after March 14th when the continuing resolution runs out? Well, I will tell you this, that continuing resolution does not, that runs out March 14th, does not apply to all federal agencies. If you can recall, the last session of Congress, they staggered the continuing resolution due dates for different agencies. So you want to take a look at which agencies will be impacted if the government shuts down March 14th. And as far as back pay is concerned, if the government shuts down, when Trump was president before, he signed the federal government Fair Treatment Act of 2019, which guaranteed federal employees that they would get paid in the event of a shutdown. Now, if he put it in place, he could take it out of place. So don't bank on that you will get paid as you have in the past. Of course, there's a lot of unprecedented things happening this time. And so just know that you may get paid or you may not get paid. But there is an act on the books that says that you should get paid, but there's nothing to say that he's tied to that act. The second question was about, does my agency have Vera? I can tell you right now, they say yes, but I can tell you right now, the answer is no. If your agency has not submitted a request for voluntary early authority, they do not have the authority to offer a early retirement. I know at least one agency communicated to its employees today that they do not have the authority and they will not be asking for the authority. So you want to make sure and double check that your agency has the authority. Also, the next question asks about if I'm scheduled to retire soon after September 30th, can I take advantage of the deferred resignation program? And it says that if you are scheduled to retire between October 1st and December 31st, you can still take the deferred resignation slash retirement unless you are specifically excluded. Now, what it does not say is that you will be paid on admin leave from October 1st to December 30th. So you want to make sure you read between the lines. It does not say that you will be paid during that time. So if you were planning to retire between October 1st and December 31st and you take the deferred retirement, just don't be surprised if you don't get paid during that time. The next question asks about how can I make it clear that I would like to resign and retire, not just resign? And they say you could respond to the email and put in the subject line resign and retire. First of all, it's one or the other. You either resign or you retire. If you are eligible for retirement, you retire, you don't resign. And so you want to make it clear and you want to be clear with yourself that you're actually going to retire. Do not put in the email that you are resigning and retiring. There's no such thing. You so just be really careful before you respond to the email. The next question asks, is there a formal agreement that I can sign with my agency reflecting the terms of this offer? And it says yes. Once you respond to the email, then the agency can execute the paperwork. I highly recommend that you look at the paperwork before you respond to the email. And you may even want to put that paperwork in front of an attorney who can tell you your legal rights. Because if you respond that you're going to resign or retire, and then you get the paperwork, it might be too late. So make sure you get the paperwork ahead of time if you think you are interested. I want you to make an informed decision. You want to see exactly what that paperwork say. Are there any guarantees in that paperwork? If there are no guarantees that you're going to get paid, I would not sign the paperwork and I would not respond to the email. So be clear on that. And the next question asks, does the deferred resignation program comply with all records and privacy laws? They are tapping into every system that the federal sector has, and they are getting access to personal identifiable information. And so, again, I would be really careful about responding to any emails because they are already getting access to information that they don't have a need to know. So be really careful, make an informed decision, and make sure that if this is something you want to do, it's because you were planning to do this anyway. It's not because of the circumstances and you feel like you are being pushed out. Um, Stand your grounds. Please know that there are people fighting against all of this. Your unions are fighting against this. Individuals have put together a class action lawsuit against this, and so you want to make sure that that you are not feeling any pressure to leave. I also wanted to point out to you that there is a Supreme Court case, OPM versus Richmond. In that Supreme Court case, it says that if you make a decision based on erroneous information coming from OPM, too bad, so sad. OPM has the right to give you bad information. And I can tell you right now the answer to the question about does my agency have the voluntary early retirement authority? And they say the answer is yes, is bad information. And so if you respond to that email and say you're going to resign and retire and you're not eligible, they can force you to resign and you lose your pension. You lose your health benefits and everything that comes along with being a federal employee. So if you want to look the court case up, it's the Office of Personnel Management versus Richmond. And it talks about a gentleman who went out on disability retirement. And during that disability retirement, he asked OPM if he could uh, make a certain amount of money while he was on disability retirement? And they told him yes. And then after he made the money, they pulled his disability retirement and said he exceeded the threshold. And when he challenged it all the way up to the Supreme Court basically said OPM has the right to make bad decisions or put out wrong information. And if you make a decision based on that, there is no legal basis for you to be made whole or for you to get what you thought you were going to get because you got bad information. So just make sure that if you are considering an early retirement, that your agency has the authority from OPM for early retirement and that your position was included in the request that they submitted to OPM to request the early retirement authority. So again, I wanted to just jump on here real quick. If you have questions, please drop them in the chat. I know my Let's Get Into It Real Quick podcast yesterday went by very quickly, and afterwards somebody sent me a message and said they didn't have a chance to drop their question in the chat, so they sent it to me separately. And so I want to give you an opportunity to ask questions and get real live information. Please let all of your federal colleagues know that they can follow me on Facebook. My page is public. They can watch the videos. They can go to YouTube. All of the videos are housed there. I'm also on Instagram. And so, and also, I'm not dropping all of the videos on TikTok, but definitely Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube so that people can be educated. Don't keep this information to yourself and don't try to interpret this information for somebody else. Let them listen to it and make some informed decisions about what's best for them. Because the last thing you want to do is be responsible for interpreting what I'm saying in such a way that somebody else end up making a bad decision. And so you want to be clear. You know that come March 14th, you may or may not get paid if you are furloughed due to the government not having funding. You want to make sure that your agency has a voluntary early retirement authority from OPM and that your position was included in that request for voluntary early retirement. If you're going to retire after September 30th and they're telling you that you can take the deferred resignation program, that you are really clear that it does not say that you will get paid beyond September 30th. Also, um, I have a question. If you touched on this previously, late to the party, can you touch on RIF and when they apply? Okay, Sharice, I'm going to point you to my YouTube page. I will send you a link to my YouTube page. I did a whole spiel on RIF, how it works, when it applies, and all of that good information. So I will certainly send that to you. Um, you want to make sure that you are clear about whether you are retiring or resigning. If you retire from the federal service, you can get you are entitled to an annuity check. You are entitled to take your health benefits, providing you meet the requirements. You are entitled to carry your life insurance into there, your long-term care insurance. You are entitled to a FERS supplement. And so you want to be clear that you are retiring, you are not resigning. Typically, when people resign from the federal sector, they can't take any of these benefits with them. And so there's a huge difference between resigning from your position and retiring from your position. And so you want to make sure that you are clear on the difference. The agreement, I want to make it really clear that on the agreement, you want to look at that agreement before you respond to the email saying that you are resigning or retiring. Be really look at the agreement, see if there's any guarantees in that agreement, see if if you could put it in front of an attorney and have them interpret that agreement for you. please do so. If there's a way, if you can get access to the agreement without responding to the email, then that's great. If you cannot get access to the agreement prior to responding to the email on Thursday, that tells you everything you need to know. If they are withholding the agreement but requiring you to respond, it is telling you everything you need to know. Also, I want to re-emphasize that there are no guarantees that you will be paid if you take the deferred resignation or if you take a deferred retirement. There are no guarantees that you will be paid till September 30th. So, again, make an informed decision on that. Ask yourself, what would I do if come March or April and a decision is made that all of the people who took the deferred resignation, we're not going to pay these people till September 30th. What are you going to do? Are you financially prepared to take care of you and your family for the remainder of the time until you can find employment elsewhere? And so just be leery. Again, we know from past history that he is not used to paying people according to an agreement. There's been contracts in place. People have done the work and not gotten paid. And so just, have that in your pocket and know that that could end up being your fate as well. And as far as them having access to the records, again, there's a class action lawsuit about that, um, challenging the fact that non-government employees are getting access to federal employees' records. And so that's going to play out in the courts. And all of this is going to play out in the courts. And in some instances, the court is going to put an injunction in place to say you can't do this. It's just a matter of people challenging it in the court system. So don't feel no pressure to resign or retire. That is your choice. That is your option. And I want to point out that in the question where they talk about resigning and retire, they made sure to use the word that you are voluntarily doing so. Okay. You are voluntarily doing so. So you want to make sure and be absolutely sure that this is what you want to do because those words will come back to haunt you. They're going to say, we did not pressure anybody. They voluntarily responded to the email and said that they was resigning or retiring. We know that every day is going to be breaking headlines. Sit back, relax, take a couple deep breaths, and try really hard not to let this stress you out. I know it's a stressful time, but if you are overwhelmed, all stressed out, you're subject to make a bad decision. And I want to help you prevent yourself from making a bad decision. So if you have questions, drop them in the chat. I am going to give you a few minutes to drop questions in the chat. I'm not going to jump off as quickly as I did yesterday, and people missed the opportunity to ask questions. So if you have any questions, drop them in the chat and I will answer them in real time. Again, I want to make sure that you are educated, you are informed, and you have put yourself in the best possible position. And if you think about it, if the deadline is Thursday to respond to the email, they only gave you a 2-week window for a reason. And that reason is so that you feel pressure and that you make a bad decision. If enough people does not respond to that email, they are going to get even more desperate. As we can see today, what happened at the USAID, Again, they are trying to take over an agency without Congress's approval and trying to consolidate it with the State Department without Congress's approval. There's a reason why we have three branches of government, and they are equal in terms of power. And so the executive branch cannot take over the functions of the legislative branch, which is the House and the Senate. And so we know that we cannot depend on the majority party in the House and the Senate to have our backs. We can't depend on that. And so they are allowing him to do everything that he wants to do unless we challenge it in court, which is happening. And so make sure that you understand your rights, because as federal employees, not only do we have rights, we have due process. And due process says that they cannot just fire you. They have to have a reason for firing you. It has to be either related to performance or misconduct. And as long as you haven't done anything to misbehave and you are performing the essential functions of your duties, they cannot just fire you without running a reduction in force. And that's going to take time. That might take another year, 18 months, whatever. Just don't quit your job unless that's what you were planning to do anyway. And don't let nobody convince you of anything different. I've seen a couple things on social media that is not accurate. I am only going to tell you what I know. You can fact check me. I encourage you to fact check me. Fact check me on opm.gov. Everything that I'm telling you is factual information. Let's not let facts be a thing of the past. Fact check everything that you hear from me, because some of the things I'm seeing on social media is not accurate. And I want to make sure that you get accurate information to make an informed decision. I'm also, because I worked in the federal sector for 32 years, I know a lot of people. And so I am checking in, making sure, or people are checking in with me to make sure I know what's going on at their particular agencies. And so I want to make sure that I pass that information on to you so that you can make an informed decision. And yes, Sharon, facts matter, especially when you are talking about quitting your job. These facts are so important. um, don't feel pressure to quit your job. That's not the way that we should be operating in our country. And yes, this is our country. And so make sure you make an informed decision. I will keep tabs on what's going on, and I will come to you live every time I think it's something that I think I need to clear up for you or educate you on, so that you have an opportunity to know what's going on. You know, you can fact check me. You know, I'm telling you great information, and you can make informed decisions for you and your family. So, willingness to share your expertise, you calm spirits by doing this. Thank you so very much, Dr. Paulette. Um, Thank you, Dr. Colo. I'm here to support you in any way that I can. And so I will be coming to you live when the next, oh, I see a former supervisor of mine online. Hey, Jackie. Um, I'm going to continue to come to you live throughout this process so that I can give you the information that you need. Again, follow me on social media, all things Sherelle Higgins, YouTube, Sherelle Higgins 123, and I will keep all of my videos on Facebook and on YouTube and Instagram, so you have plenty of opportunities to go back and look at it, to share it. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it around the federal sector, so that, because employees just don't know what they don't know. If you didn't work in human capital, you probably just don't know what your rights are and what you're entitled to, and that's cool. And so that's what I'm here to do, is to help you. Thank you, Shantae. I appreciate your support. So, with that being said, if no one has any questions, I will try to keep these videos to a certain amount of time, because that's why I call it Let's Get Into It Real Quick. And so I have gotten into it real quick, and I have repeated myself, and I hope that you are listening and that you will make some informed decisions. So thank you all very much, and I will see you soon. Thank you for joining and participating in Let's Get Into It. I want to thank my special guest for being brave enough to get into it. Without you, these conversations cannot happen. Remember, different viewpoints, respect, and love are the foundations of Let's Get Into It. If there's a topic you think I should discuss, drop me a recommendation. If you're interested in being my special guest, let me know, because we can and will get into it. Have a great day on purpose, and I look forward to your continued engagement and support as we get into it.